I'm Amy Zawi with the Jerusalem Connection Red Alert Report for Wednesday, August 22nd, BDS Backfires. Last week, I heard an exciting radio broadcast by Judy Simon where she interviewed a gentleman named Nati Ram, and he lives in what we call the West Bank, but he identifies it as Yisha. Jewish residents of Yisha, which is the Judea and Samaria area, is where Rome lives, and he says that the term West Bank is actually a term generated by Israel haters. How could we live in the West Bank, he joked. We are on the eastern side of Israel and there are no banks here. Well, Ram therefore created an organization called Lev HaOlam. Lev HaOlam means heart of the world, and it sends unique packages of products to subscribers around the world. And these products are all generated by artists and local craftspeople who live in Yisha. He calls Yisha the biblical heartland. Ram went on to explain that 90% of the events of the Bible happened in this region, and he says, quote, "How can the world boycott the Bible?" In his packages, he includes a newsletter with messages from the artists explaining their experience in the area and their perspective on what's going on. Ram is a lawyer by profession, and he also is engaged in the boycott program, which is the antithesis to BDS, boycott, divest, and sanction Israel, including their products. He shares in an organization called the Chocolate Project, which sends chocolate from the Hebron Hills all over Europe, and they also include notes about why Israel should not be boycotted. Now, this is all happening while Israel is receiving a barrage of rocket fire into civilian areas from Gaza in the south. Gazans themselves are being held hostage under their terrorist leadership, as well as the Israeli citizens in the neighboring land. Children are being terrorized in their own homes and playgrounds and schools. While these children are being terrorized, ignorant and uninformed biased fans of Oregonian basketball teams are now asking that the local Portland Trailblazer team cut ties with a company called Leopold & Stevens. Leopold & Stevens is an Oregon-based company founded in 1907 that has been supplying military and sports equipment to organizations for over 100 years. They include rifle scopes and other weaponry, paraphernalia, and peripherals. And they've supplied the U.S. military as well as other militaries around the world and first responders and police departments. Leopold & Stevens manufactures a variety of equipment, like I said, and in 2017 they contracted with the IDF to provide them some 800 scopes. These are sniper rifle scopes for the IDF use. Now, Leopold & Stevens were invited to join forces with the Portland Trailblazers to generate a segment during each regular season game called Hometown Heroes. According to the company's website, whether it's the brave men and women of our armed forces, first responders, or everyday heroes who put themselves or service before self, we are excited to honor a new hero during each regular season game. Now, this is a good thing, but a coalition of groups, the Portland Democratic Socialists of America, the Lutherans for Justice in the Holy Land, Portland's Resistance, and the Jewish Voice for Peace Portland chapter have all sent a letter to the Blazers earlier this week asking them to, quote, end their partnership with Leopold & Stevens in the upcoming season, going on to cite how they believe this company is aiding and abetting an apartheid state. So, this company can supply equipment to first responders and other military organizations, but not to the IDF. Not Israel, where civilians are being attacked and in danger daily in their own streets, yards, and playgrounds. Oregonians can enjoy the relative safety of isolation from direct violence and hostilities, but Israelis are not afforded this luxury. This is where I believe the notion of anti-Semitism creeps into these groups' ideology, despite their constant screams that what they oppose is Israeli policy and not the people. You see, the mere fact that the Israelis are there is the reason for the crime. The attackers aren't the criminals, it's the Israelis for being there. Israelis are being mercilessly attacked, but it's not the attackers' fault. The blame the victim mentality only seems to be accepted in the context of Israelis and Jews, and that is why it's anti-Semitic. If a Portlander member of the SJP or Lutherans for Justice in the Middle East was attacked in their own front yard or on a street corner waiting for a bus just because it's who they are and they're there, or just because the attacker claims their government has a bad policy they disagree with, well, the world would be in an outrage, and rightly so. But it turns a blind eye to what happens in Israel. The media, academia, they're all ignorant in shedding the light on the truth. The malignant and ignorant intent of these organizations are indeed anti-Semitic at its core, and they seek the eradication of Israel, let alone the removal of Jews worldwide. And they capitalize on this blindness. They bet on the fact that nobody cares that it was the Jews who were attacked, and nobody should sell Jews who are being attacked things that would help them defend themselves and their community members. It's an existential statement because they don't believe the Jews should be there in the first place. This was Hitler's philosophy, it was Haman's philosophy, and on top of it, nobody really actually cares about the Palestinians in the region, because if they did, they would be just as outspoken against the leadership of the PA and Gaza, under which those people suffer greatly. That all said, I did read some wonderful news, a recent statistic just last week, that all the BDS efforts worldwide are not yielding the result that they desire. Tourism to Israel is at an all-time high. In the first half of 2018, 2.1 million tourists visited Israel, and this is a 19% increase from the same period last year. These tourists also brought with them, in US dollars, $3.3 billion. And that is a huge boost to the economy, as Israel is such a beacon of hope and light and innovation and help to its own citizens and its neighbors and the world economy. The biggest increase in traffic was from Europe to the Red Sea area of Eilat. This is such a tangible and exciting bit of evidence that in spite of all the bashing in the media, on college campuses, and at cocktail parties, people's hearts actually do lie with Israel. Why else would they spend their time and money there? That's a pretty good indicator. So keep Israel in your prayer, keep the truth coming out in your own social circles and networks, and let's keep the BDS activities backfiring. Buy Israel, visit Israel, support Israel. Shavua Tov. Have a great week.